Greetings, my lovelies. So today I wanted to talk about different types of divination and kind of the ups and downs of each of the types of divination that I use. One of which being the bones. So, as you guys have seen on this channel, I clearly use tarot cards. And tarot cards are a system of images drawn on cardstock that has a system of 78 cards. 22 of those cards are from the major arcana, or what could be translated as the major secrets, and the last 56 of the cards are in the minor arcana, which would be the minor secrets. The minor arcana is also split up into two sections: the regular cards 1 through 10 of each suit, and the court cards. The court cards are usually king, queen, page, and knight, or something of that sort. Sometimes it's prince and princess. Sometimes it's son and daughter, father and mother, so on and so forth. But there's 4 people usually depicted in those suits, uh, in the court cards, and then each there's 4 suits in the minor arcana. These suits represent different elements, and each of these elements deal with different parts of life. So there's the coins, pentacle. The coins are usually either called the coins or pentacles, but they are of the earth element. There's the cups or chalices, and those are of the water element. The swords is of the air element, and the wands or batons are, or staves, are of the fire element. So as you can see, this card is the doll. Because this is a voodoo deck, the doll of wands would be the page of wands, or page of fire. So tarot is a specific system. It originated in, some say, Italy in the 1400s, and the first deck to be traditionally used for actual divination and not just playing cards was the Tarot de Marseille, which was a French version of the Italian playing deck. Then we have the oracle decks, and oracle decks are all individually done based on the thoughts and processes of the creator. So they can have, most oracle decks have anywhere between 20 and 100 plus cards each, and they are usually themed around a specific theme. So this deck right here is the African Goddess Rising Oracle. It has around 50 cards, I want to say, in it, and each of the cards are a goddess or a ancestral person from the African traditional religions, and just African history. So there is a card like, we've got Eazen, she's Santeria or Voodoo. We have Mayat from Kemet or Egypt. We have Sarah La Kali. I don't remember where she's from specifically, but we also have Tatuba, which was from Salem, Massachusetts, and she was from the witch trials. So, So then that's two different ways that I do divination, is through tarot and oracle cards. But I've also trained in, or I have learned other different types of divination, such as scrying, which I don't have any of my scrying tools because that can literally be a mirror, or you could use fire, you can use water, you can use a big obsidian block or crystal ball. But there's also something closer to what you would see with bones, which again, this seems to be something a lot of people aren't fully understanding. So we have runes, and runes are a Norse way of divination. And usually you will find the Elder Futhark runes, and they are different Norse symbols, which are used alphabetically at times and sometimes magically. And these different symbols have different meanings, and you would just, you know, toss it, and then depending on how they land and what they land next to can show you the meaning of the the throw. Similarly, we have bones. Now, bones were used by multiple different places throughout the world, different civilizations, different magical systems, and the bones are used also in divination. Sometimes they have markings, as mine do. Some of them are just specific bones, and if they lay in a certain position next to different bones, then they mean different things. Uh, I have seen, which if anybody else watches bone readings on TikTok, I have seen where there'll be someone and they'll throw the bones and they'll ask a question, and if they cross as such, they mean yes or no, and then if they land far away from each other, then it means yes or no, depending on the reader. Some cultures use animal knuckles, some cultures use whole jaws, some cultures will throw the bone into a fire, and depending on how it cracks and burns is how you get the answer. This version I learned from a book by Michelle Jackson, and it is based off of hoodoo, and it's, I believe her book was called, this is not an advertisement, by the way. I just really like this book. It's simple, it's right to the point, and you get to really sit down with your system. But I believe it was called Bone Stones and Curios or something like that. I'll see if I can get the link and stick it in the description. Uh, Either way, the what you do is you pick out your bones, and these bones right here were given to me by my mother. She ate a chicken, and then she uh, cleaned it, blessed it, and then dried the bones for me and brought them from one state to another to give to me. And then when I got them, I dyed them and then put my markings on them. So every time I see this set, I think of my mother. So thank you, Mom. Uh, some other things that I've added to my bone set to make it uniquely mine. I have some different shells. I have lots of crystals. I have some amulets and other broken pieces and things of that sort that all mean specific things to me and have a specific part of my bone set. This is another beautiful thing my daughter made me. bracelet. I think it was either a bracelet or a necklace, and then I just made it into a bracelet. But either way, this is a reminder of like, what do you need to focus on as a mother. I like to have that reminder of my children in there, and I have a reminder of my mother in there, so that I have lots of familial situations going on in there. But the bones, did I break it? I broke it. The bones, they tend to change and grow, and some pieces will get lost and some pieces will get replaced. Just like this bone that broke, I'll probably just use a different stone or something that I'll add to it, bless it, and put it in there. But this is a very intuitive, very unique set. Uh, no bone set is going to be exactly the same as someone else's bone set, because usually, even if you go online and you buy ethically sourced bones or whatever, and you buy a kit, you're supposed to add to it to make it more personalized to yourself. You're not supposed to just leave it at the like 10 pieces that you bought or whatever. And eventually it just naturally happens that way. So I personally have a couple journals that what I do is I'll write down every time I change my bone set. I'll write down new items that I've added in, new items that I've taken out, anything that's broken, because as you can see, you toss them around and, some of these things can break. And so I think this is probably the divination system that I feel most comfortable with. And that is because I am more connected to this. I have created this. And not to say that I've created the system of bone reading, but that I've created this set of bones. And no one else has this specific set of bones. And even if they did, this may mean something to me that it doesn't mean to someone else. So, you will be seeing more bone readings on this channel. So, uh, I'm working in making sure that each of these things that I do are represented on my channel, because I don't just do tarot reading. I don't just do oracle readings. I don't just do intuitive channeling. Whatever the spirits are calling me to use at the time in which a message comes through, that's the thing that I'm going to use. So I just wanted to introduce this to you so that you understood kind of where I'm coming from with adding these things to my channel. I know there's a lot more tarot reading channels. I know there's a lot of oracle reading channels and things of that sort. And as old as this system is of bone reading throughout the world, I'm surprised to see there's not as many bone reading channels. And I'm not saying I'm going to 100% change over to a bone reading channel at this point, but the representation needs to be there, because more times than not, as someone with African descent, a lot of African systems use bones and shells and other curios. And curios are just like little trinkets and things. But a lot of these things are traditional to our ancestors. So it makes more sense when I'm doing ancestral readings to use what my ancestors would recognize, as opposed to tarot cards, which, even though tarot was my first system of divination when I was 15, I started learning tarot. And my mom also gave me my first tarot deck. Uh, but even though that's my first system, I've been doing this about a decade now, almost. And again, I feel the ancestors come through with their messages a lot stronger with the bones. And I think that is because they recognize the things that are going on in this type of divination, as opposed to using more Eurocentric types of divination. And now I do have some European ancestry too, and so that's not negating them, but being that I feel closer to the African ancestry and they call on me stronger when messages come through, it just makes sense for me to use systems that they would be more comfortable with. I hope that makes sense to you. Either way, I wanted to thank you for being here during my quick lecture, lesson, chat, and whatever else you want to call this. I hope you got some clarity, and I hope you realize that it's not as scary as it sounds, because I have mentioned, oh, do you want a bone reading? And people have been like, what? That's evil. And it's like, it's not evil. It's not any more evil than pulling out a piece of cardboard that has a pretty picture on it. Either way, especially with my readings, the ancestors are coming through, spirits are going to be speaking through me. So it doesn't matter specifically if I'm using an animal's bones or if I'm using a tree's bones. It's all connected, it's all spirit, it's all spiritual. Um, or if I'm using the bones of the earth. So it's that's actually what I call this set, is Bones of the Earth, because there's a lot of stones and metals and uh these this is not a stone from the earth. This is a meteorite. Uh but all of these things, most of these things come from the earth and are materials that were brought through from the earth in one way or another, through either animals, plants, or mineral. And you just have to sit back and think, these are tools, and the tools are here to bring the messages, and the messages come through the people who are the messengers. So I don't want you to be scared, I don't want you to be weirded out. I just want you to understand that this is just another type of divination, just the same as, throwing runes. And like, I have a wooden rune set, I have a pyrite rune set. And it's just another way of communicating and bringing forth clarity and healing through ancestral and deity type work. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it. So I'll see you soon, my lovelies, and have a great day.